Hi, everybody. This is Bill from Berlin Center United Methodist. This is the Gospel of John study. This is week 12, day 5 of the 12-week study. So today is the very last day. I wanted to put a shout out to thank Christina Dezee for posting these daily videos for the last 12 weeks so everybody could have access to them. Thank you, Christina. And today we're going to finish by looking at verses 20 through 25. Let's get started. Peter turned and saw that the disciple whom Jesus loved was following them. This was the one whom had leaned against Jesus at the supper and said, "Lord, who is going to betray you?" When Peter saw him, he asked, "Lord, what about him?" Jesus answered, "If I want him to remain alive until I returned, what is that to you? You must follow me." Because of this, the rumor spread among the believers that this disciple would not die. But Jesus did not say that he would not die. He only said, "If I want him to remain alive until I return, what is that to you?" This is the disciple who testified to these things and who wrote them down. We know that his testimony is true. Jesus did many other things as well. If every one of them were written down, I suppose that even the whole world would not have enough room for the books that would be written. All right, I'm going to read now the author Ben Witherington III's comments that begin on page 176 and end on 178. Peter had been told to keep his eyes on Jesus and follow him. Immediately, Peter turns around and sees the beloved disciple and asks, "Lord, what about him?" Now, it would appear that we have here another little telltale sign that all of these stories had independent lives of their own, because the narrator feels he must remind the audience who the beloved disciple, he who reclined with Jesus at the meal where he asked about his betrayal. Now it is telling that this is a reference point, since we know that part of the earliest recording telling of the Passion narrative involved the sentence, "on the night when Jesus was betrayed." See 1 Corinthians 11:23. Even young Christians would be expected to be familiar with that story. Jesus' reply is basically, "That's none of your business. You must follow me." But we have this interesting sentence as well. "If I want to remain alive until I return again, what is that to you?" Which then prompts the quick editorial explanation that Jesus did not say that he would not die. He only said, "If I want him to remain alive until I return." Notice that we are also dealing with the squelching of a rumor. We're dealing with the squelching of a rumor. The rumor had spread now that the beloved disciple would not die before the return of Christ. Now, I would suggest there was a particular reason why some might be prepared to think this. If as I have imitated the beloved disciple as Lazarus, Jesus had already raised him from the dead once. You could see the logic being, surely he won't die twice before Jesus returns. But in fact, that is exactly what had happened. Hence, the need for the disclaimer about what Jesus didn't say. And notice that this is the one very rare times Jesus speaks of his return in the whole gospel, which is more vertically than horizontally focused when it comes to the future of Jesus. Verse 24 is the identical marker. This, the beloved disciple, is the disciple who testified to all these wonderful stories, and fortunately, whom wrote them down. And we know that his testimony is true. This must mean two things. The we is the community of the beloved disciple, and his is the beloved disciple. The we, or a representative of the we, is doing the writing here. I would suggest we are talking about John of Patmos, from which this gospel takes its name. Notice the verb wrote is in past tense. The beloved disciple is not now writing. He wrote it in the past. The community spokesman is writing now, and he puts these memoirs together. He adds that we all know he testified truthfully. This is a strong reassurance to young Christians who need to know there were eyewitnesses who saw these remarkable events and wrote them down. The gospel then concludes on a very interesting note, namely, Jesus did so many things, even in a short 3-year period of ministry, that there were not enough books then in the world to record all his signs and wonders and teachings. For us, 2,000 years hence, this remark is a sad one. We would love to know much more about Jesus from eyewitnesses. There obviously were some extra Johannine traditions circulating in the early church, such as John 7:53 and 8:11, which didn't make the original editorial cut for this gospel. But we must be thankful for what we have, which is 4 remarkable, interesting, very different portraits of the one Christ, the one Son of God, the one Savior of the world. All right, let's look at the questions. Why do you think Peter was concerned about what the beloved disciple would do? Why him in particular? Why was the disclaimer needed that Jesus had not said the beloved disciple would live until the second coming? And why was the command, "You must follow me," so important in the case of Peter, instead of wondering about the future and fate of the other disciples and leaders? All right, tomorrow I hope you join us for Adult Christian Education, as we will not only talk about chapter 21, we'll talk about the whole week, a 12-week study. So I hope you will visit us tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. in Fellowship Hall. It'll be a great discussion. And on Monday, I hope that you will engage in all that we've learned in the book of John, and invite someone to the next study, which is the Live, Love, Lead study next Sunday. So looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, and looking forward to seeing you and who you invite to the following Sunday. All right, thanks for viewing all 12 weeks and being part of this study. Take care. God bless.